It's my honor and privilege to bring to you tonight a friend of mine that's been traveling and writing and singing for over 20 years in the Christian music industry. Tonight we're here to laugh with him. This man is known nationwide, but he's one of our own. Even in the medical field, and the psychologists and psychiatrists will tell you that laughter is a healing medicine. So be prepared to laugh as we introduce to you your friend and our brother, Aaron Wilburn, the redneck in the hood.
It is great to be here, and I love to take polls because I was raised Baptist and we love to vote. Any other Baptist here? There's a few of us. I love to watch Baptists. I'm here undercover, brother. Don't mess with me. Not only am I a Baptist, I'm from the South, and I love the South. I call it the land of y'all. It's the place where dessert's not food. Would you like some more potatoes? Oh, no, I'm full, thank you. How about some more chicken? Oh, I've ate all I can eat. How about some banana pudding? I think I will. We eat that heavy, southern, greasy food, and then we go out on the front porch and we sit down in a rocker if we can find one. And you just sit there. You don't rock. You don't talk. You just barely breathe. It's kind of like some churches on Sunday morning. And then after a while, somebody starts rocking. Pretty soon, everybody's rocking. And then somebody says, Lordy. And somebody else says, oh, Lordy, Lordy. And then somebody else says, Lordy, 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 Lordy. Pretty soon it's just one big old Lordy contest. See, people up north don't know how to have Lordy contests. We don't need more stress tabs. We need Lordy contests. And see, the people up north, I go up north a lot, and I love the people up north, and they're very kind to me. But sometimes you meet people up north, and when they hear you talk, and you're from the South, they try to copy you. If you ain't from the South, you can't talk Southern. They can send you to school and put you in the movies, and you still can't talk Southern if you're not from the South. And then they'll look at you like, oh, something's wrong with you. You're from the South. But let me tell you, I know that somewhere along the way, everybody up north is not as brilliant as they would have you think they are. Because I looked at a map of Indiana. At the top of the state, South Bend. At the bottom of the state, North Vernon. We may not know how to talk, but we know north from south, don't we? I like the South because it's a place where you can say what you want to about people, as long as you say, bless his heart. Now, I've heard somebody say that it means you're stupid. Well, it could mean that, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. Bless your heart are the three most wonderful words in the English language to a Southerner, because we can state compassion. Oh, he broke his leg. Bless his heart. We can show compassion with it, or we can show other feelings with it. That's the laziest woman I've ever seen in my life. Bless her heart. Or we can say other things like, did you see him? That's the ugliest man I've ever seen in my life. Bless his heart. You know, Jeff Foxworthy talks about you might be a redneck if. And in fact, I've got a few I'd like to tell you that I've come up with on my own. Because I think you might be a redneck if you've ever used a pair of wire pliers to roll down the window of your car. And then reached out the window and opened the door. Or you might be a redneck if you've ever had an argument over who gets that piece of fat in a can of pork and beans. Yeah, and you're a redneck if you want to clean out your ears, but you can't find your truck keys. And then you're really a redneck if somebody asks, what's your favorite kind of pie? And you say, moon. See, there's some things in the South that they don't have anywhere, they don't have up north. Moon pies is one of them. Tell you another thing we have here that they don't have up north. We have belly bummers. We call them crystals. Best deal in the world. You eat it tonight, you'll taste it for 3 days. You are a redneck woman if you hang around crystals hoping to meet the man of your dreams. And you are a redneck man if you met the woman of your dreams at crystals. So I took it one step further from Jeff Foxworthy's you might be a redneck, because I think you might be a Baptist stiff if you've ever made change out of the offering plate. Yeah. Or you might be a Baptist if everybody knows where you're going to sit before you even get to church. Ooh. And then you're really a Baptist if you're sitting in a Pentecostal church and somebody raises their hand and you wave back at them. My Baptist pastor used to confuse me, because at the close of the service he'd say something like, bow your heads, close your eyes. If you have a need in your life, come to the altar. The miracle is not finding the Lord. The miracle is getting to the altar with your eyes closed. Then I visited Pentecostal and charismatic churches. My life changed, because I realized things do not, we all love the same God, but we do things different. In the Baptist church, you can sneak to the altar and pray real quick before anybody else opens their eyes, so they won't wonder what you did that week. Then I visited Pentecostal churches. You go to Pentecostal church, pray, and you think, I feel good. I'm going back to my seat. No, you're not. You're surrounded. You got about 4 people around you. One in front saying, hang on. One behind saying, turn loose. One over here saying, empty him, Lord. Another one saying, fill him, Jesus. And if you're a Baptist, that'll freak you out. Then you find out some folks can't pray if they don't spray. And people that spit the most will pray with you the longest. They'll spit all over you and then ask, are you washed? Baptist pastor friend of mine said, Aaron, I dreamed that I died and went to heaven. And I was standing there talking to St. Peter. One of my old buddies walked by with the ugliest woman I'd ever seen in my life. And I asked St. Peter, what's he doing with her? And St. Peter said, there was sin in his life. That's his punishment. He's got to spend eternity with that ugly woman. Bless his heart. John said a few minutes later, I looked up and another one of my old friends walked by with a woman twice as ugly as the first one. St. Peter shook his head and said there was a lot of sin in his life. And John said, Aaron, about that time I looked up and you walked by with the most gorgeous woman I've ever seen in my life. And it just took my breath away. And I turned to St. Peter and I said, wow, Aaron Wilburn must have lived a good life. And St. Peter said, he's her punishment. I'd like to sing a little song that I didn't write, but I rewrote it. John Anderson wrote this song. One day listening to it, I wondered what would John have written had he been writing a Christian song when he wrote Swingin'. So for those of you who have lost sleep wondering the same thing, I would like to sing to you what I think John would have written had he been writing from my perspective. There's a little girl in our neighborhood. Her name is Charlotte Johnson and she's really looking good. Her daddy is a preacher, Pentecostal to the bone. I went down to the church to see what was going on. They were swinging from the rafters. Now little Charlotte, she's as pretty as an angel when she smiles, but you ought to see her jumping pews and running down the aisles, swinging. Now you know I'm a Baptist and it scared me half to death. They were singing and shouting, they called it getting blessed. So I thought I'll stay longer just to see what I could see. Before I knew what happened, it was happening to me. I was swinging, swinging. The spirit started moving, I can't tell you how. All I know is they're calling me a Baptist-costal now. I'm swinging, I'm swinging, swinging. Thank you. How many of you were messed up when you found the Lord? I know some wives are punching husbands right now. You was messed up. You should have raised your hand. Here's a little song I wrote. At my size, whatever you write is a little song. They pass the bottle, you can't help but think, what's it gonna hurt to take one little drink? But tomorrow you'll wake up feeling half dead, with the toilet lid bouncing off the back of your head. Now, I know some of you are thinking, well, that's not gospel. I've talked to people who would disagree with you. You'd better say, don't want the devil hanging around. I don't want the devil bringing me down. Don't want the devil tempting me to do wrong. I just want the devil to leave me alone. Here's a verse for the single guys. She walks by. I forgot what she does when she walks by. Do you remember my song, honey? Huh? What's the next line? But I want you to know I'm over 40. And over 40 is that time in a man's life when he's standing on stairs wondering, was I going up or coming down? Are your hands on the doorknob wondering, was I going in or coming out? That's not a problem unless it's the bathroom doorknob you're holding. My memory just returned. She smiles. You know what that look infers. And you think, the Lord worked overtime on her. Before you get acquainted, my friend, better read that verse on temptation again. Well, I thought if I'm going to write a verse for the guys, I should write one for the ladies. When I first started writing this, or when I first wrote this, I wrote about Robert Redford and Tom Selleck. And I knew I had lived longer than I thought I had lived when I saw children looking at their moms and dads asking, who's Tom Selleck? So one night, right off the top of my head, I rewrote it, and I'd like to do the new version right now. He walks by, gives you a nod, Carmen face, and Aaron Wilburn bod. But by that look on his face, you know what's going on. Young lady, you had better just leave him alone and say, I don't want the devil hanging around. I don't want the devil bringing me down. Don't want the devil tempting me to do wrong. I just want the devil to leave me alone. Now you may be wondering, why does he write about Carmen faces and toilet lids? Because sometimes I catch unsuspecting people wondering what's he going to say next. And then I tell them, Jesus is our Lord and King. He is master over everything. If I'll use the power he's given to me, demons will hide and the devil will flee. And I just don't want the devil hanging around. I don't want the devil bringing me down. Don't want the devil tempting me to do wrong. I just want the devil to leave me alone. Thank you. Well, from time to time, I find a song that just really speaks to me. How many of you like Chinese food? Yes. Me too. How many of you have heard the song Cats in the Cradle? This is not it. Did you ever think when you eat Chinese, it's not pork or chicken but a fat Siamese? But the food tastes great so you don't complain. But that's not chicken in your chicken chow mein. Seems to me I ordered sweet and sour pork, but Garfield's on my fork. He's purring on my fork. And there's a cat in the kettle at the Peking room, the place I eat every day at noon. They can feed you cat and you'll never know once they wrap it up in dough. They fry it real crisp in dough. Now, how many likes Chinese food? He asked me if I wanted more as he dialed up his buddy at the old pet store. I said, not today, I've lost my appetite. There's 2 cats in the belly and they're having a fight. Well, I was sucking on a Rolex and a Tums or 2 when I thought I heard it mew. That's when I knew. There's a cat in the kettle at the Peking room, the place I eat every day at noon. They can feed you cat and you'll never know once they wrap it up in dough. Yeah, they fry it real crisp and... Now, I know some of you must be thinking this guy is weird and something's wrong with him. What happened to him? I'm going to tell you a couple of things that happened to me called children. You want to be stupid? You become a parent. You become a parent and you go to bed and your brains leak out on your pillow. Next thing you know, you walk into a room announcing who you are. Hey, this is your father speaking to you. And then you'll turn right around and ask, who do you think I am? And my mama used to say things like, I'm gonna slap your face off. And I wondered, how will my friends know me? She'd whip me, and while I'm crying, she'd say, stop that crying or I'll give you something to cry about. And she told my little brother, don't be ugly. I said, Mama, he can't help it. Mamas in the South say things that moms in the nowhere else say. Things like, I'm gonna slap you so far down in your shoes you'll have to pull your socks down to look out. Oh, you want to put fear in somebody? You tell a child this one. I'm gonna slap a knot on your head and slap it off before it has time to rise. The one that I remember the best, my mom would be disciplining me. My mom did not abuse us, but my mom disciplined us. In fact, not long ago, I was thinking about that as I was watching a news story on television. They were talking about violence in America and all the things that are going on. And then I realized what I think we need. What I think we need in America are some moms like my mama, and we need to put them in some cars and let them do some drive-by whoopings. But my mom would be disciplining me, and she would look at me with a pitiful look on her face, and she would say, this hurts me more than it hurts you. And I felt so sorry for her, I cried. And you know, I've thought about it through the years, and now I can't help but wonder what she would have said if I would have said, Mama, please stop for just a minute. I've been bad. I deserve to hurt. I deserve to hurt more than you. Give me the belt, I'll whip you. See, now I know some of you think I'm strange probably and that I'm different, but there are people that I think are not really put together well. And some of them evidently are in high places of marketing. I tore this out of a Delta Sky Mall magazine not long ago. It is a picture of a dog standing in front of a food tray. But it's not just any food tray. It is a correct posture dog feeder. Somebody had too much time on his hands. But I wanted you to know that if you own a dog and you're feeding the dog in the next few days, and you look down at the dog and he's looking up at you like, my back is killing me. Well, here's another one, an interesting, it's called the wet, dry personal groomer. You may be asking, what is a wet, dry personal groomer? If you are not a man, or you are not yet over 40, and male, you will probably not care. But if you are over 40 and you are a man, you will want to know about the wet, dry personal groomer. Because it is a nose hair clipper. And the time comes in a man's life when his hair stops growing on top of his head and starts growing out his ears and nose. Now, if you're in the latter stages of this, you may want to know about the new one that just came out. It's called the Turbo Groomer. And it's one step away from a weed eater. My wife and I were traveling to North Carolina. Checked in a motel about 3 o'clock in the morning. And as we checked in the room, I was looking around to make sure there's no one hiding behind any cars and that it's safe. Want my family to be safe. And I looked around and I decided that it was safe. And so we went into the room. My wife asked me to lock the door, and I locked the door behind us. And then I walked into the restroom and I yelled and I said, honey, they've got security here. And then she asked, what are you talking about? I said, they've got security here. We don't have to worry about security. I said, I found it right here. It's wrapped around a commode. It says, for your protection. If anybody breaks in, I'll hold them and you beat them to death with this piece of paper. You are in a redneck church. If the pastor says, I'd like to ask Bubba to help take up the offering, and 5 men stand up. And you're in a redneck church if the restroom is outside. You're in a redneck church if a member of the church requests to be buried in his 4-wheel drive truck, because I ain't never been in a hole it couldn't get me out of. I would like to sing another song in just a moment. But before I do, I'd like to talk about children for just another moment. Our little girl is 5. The other day, someone says, in fact, it was Terry Exley, said, Aaron, before you know it, you'll look out and she'll be standing out in the drive with some boy holding his hand. I rebuked that. When the young man rings our doorbell and asks, is Emily Brooke here? I have some words for him. I have a scripture I'd like to quote to him. I've rearranged it. I'm going to tell him no man gets to the daughter except first of all he comes through the father. Then I'm going to tell him, that's my daughter and I love her enough to die for her. Do you? How many men here like to go shopping? You just can't wait to go shopping with your wife. Roberta and I were shopping not long ago. She was in the ladies' department, and I was walking around in the men's department, dreaming. Oh, people ask me all the time, where do you get your clothes? In the boys' department. Oh, I've had people ask, what's it like going into the boys' department and getting your clothes in the boys' department? And I tell them, it's not so bad once you take the Winnie the Pooh emblems off. But Roberta calls me over into the ladies section. She's in the cosmetics. So I walk over and she's holding 2 little cosmetic kits. She said, honey, I need a makeup kit. Which one do you like? Boy, I couldn't wait for that one. Tell you what, I just looked at that paisley one and the pink one. And I was torn. Actually, what I said, honey, I don't like either one of them. And she said, oh, don't do that. She said, help me decide. I said, I don't like makeup kits. She said, but which one would you like if you liked one? I said, let me tell you, I don't like paisley makeup kits, and I don't like pink makeup kits, and if I did, I would not be married to you. A lot of young guys here that are single. I've got a little information I'd like to give you, if you don't mind. There's a great difference in men and women in the way they think. When a man looks in the closet and says, I don't have anything to wear, that means I don't have anything to wear. When a woman looks in the closet and says, I don't have anything to wear, that means I don't have anything new to wear. And then when they're trying to decide, can I wear this one more time before having it cleaned? They arrive at that decision in 2 different ways. A woman will pick it up and look at it. She'll hold it up to the light to see if there's any stains, wrinkles, dirt, makeup. If it passes inspection, she'll wear it again. Men don't need eyesight. If a man wants to know, can I wear this shirt one more time before having it cleaned? We don't need to pick it up and look at it. All we need to do is pick it up and smell of it. And if we don't gag, we'll wear it again. And then something else you need to know. If you're walking through a mall or anywhere with your wife, and a gorgeous woman walks by you, not that you noticed, but this gorgeous woman walks by you and your wife says, isn't she so pretty? No. Your first answer is, who? And your second answer is, bless her heart. And you don't ever answer this question. Honey, are these pants too tight? Am I gaining weight? You ignore that one. Because if you say no, she'll ask, why don't you just be honest? If you say yes, there will be a healing service for you. I'll never forget, I was driving along the interstate. Car drove around me with one of those Garfield cats in the window. Most of you have seen those Garfield cats. And as this car drove around me, it had this Garfield stuck right up in the window. And I looked at it and I thought, he reminds me of something. Then I realized what that Garfield cat looks like. He looks like a Baptist sitting in a car full of people. And he just found out he's on his way to a Pentecostal church. Oh, I love this story of the man that walked into the pet store with his wife, and they were looking around. Walked by the parrot cage, and the parrot said, hey. And they stopped. The man asked, "What?" The parrot said, "You're ugly. And she's ugly too." The man went to the pet store owner and told him what had happened, and he said, "If you don't do something about this parrot, I'm never coming in here again." The man said, "I'll take care of it." He went to the cage and he grabbed that parrot out by the neck, took him into a back room, and they heard the wings flapping and the parrot squawking. And a few minutes later, the man came out. He still had the parrot around the neck. And he threw that parrot into the cage and said, "Don't ever do that again, or I will kill you the next time." And the parrot was sitting there on the cage, and his feathers were falling out, and he was a mess. And he just stood there, sat there on his perch. The man and his wife looked around for a few minutes, started out the door, and as they started out the door, the parrot said, "Hey." The man turned around and asked, "What?" And the parrot looked at him and said, "You know." Mike Snyder wrote this song. Bless his heart. Since all her friends have got one, now my wife wants one too. A knee-length fuzzy fur coat, nothing else will do. Said she'd look real classy and make me proud of her if I'd just break down and buy her a fur. Well, it got me to thinking, how am I gonna swing that sort of deal? The Lord knows I can't afford it, and it's wrong to steal. But the problem finally solved itself like a bolt out of the blue. Jumped right out in front of me on Highway 22. Well, that big old German Shepherd, my car he did not see. Now he's in dog heaven, but his hide belongs to me. For 3 weeks in the basement, I worked late almost every night. It was mostly trial and error, but I finally got it right. I put it in a cardboard box and carried it upstairs to her. Oh, she was tickled pink to see that fur. Now she's got a fancy fur coat, reaches all the way to her knees. But she's been complaining lately, said her closet's full of fleas. She don't know old Fido is wrapped around her tight. She's putting on the dog when she goes out at night. Well, she's been depressed here lately since I backed out over the cat. But I think she'll feel much better when I give her this new fur hat. Thank you. Thank you. I know it's a strange time, and I hadn't even planned this tonight, but I want to do something just unplanned. A few years ago, this idea was given to me by the late Conway Twitty. And I wrote it with Joe Huffman. And I'll never forget the day that Lulu Roman recorded the song. After the recording session, she and I went to my office and we wrote songs that afternoon. After a while, she said, "Aaron, let's go eat. I'm hungry." So we went to a restaurant nearby, walked in, and I noticed people staring at us as we walked in. And I thought, well, it's because they recognized Lulu from Hee Haw. Never really occurred to me that Lulu and I are not your everyday couple. Here's the song she recorded. I'd like to sing a verse and chorus of it. I've borrowed from the sunshine as a child out at play. I've marveled at creation as the moonlight kissed my face. I've enjoyed the good Lord's blessings as He poured His love on me. I want to put something back in this world before I leave. I want to put something back in this world before I go. Pass along a smile for the laughter I have known. I love this life I'm living. I need to show it by my giving. I want to put something back before I go. I want to put something back before I go. Thank you. I just want to tell a couple more stories. How many of you, when you were growing up, had a cousin or two that waited until you were there to try experiments in their lives? How many of you were those cousins? See, I have two cousins that I love dearly, Jimmy and Randy. I remember one time they put me on a bicycle without a chain. A bicycle without a chain is a bicycle without brakes. And I still have the place right up here where the doctor sewed my head up to show that it's not a real smart thing to do. Then one time they wanted to know, can you fly if you tie something around your neck and jump out of a barn loft? The answer is no. But the one I remember the best, we were in the barn playing rodeo, and my uncle had a half-grown bull tied in that stall. The stall was so small that the bull could barely turn around in the stall. They took turns riding on that bull's back, being the stars of the rodeo. And they wanted me to be a rodeo guy, and I didn't want to be a rodeo guy. But they came up with a brilliant idea. They said, if you'll get on him, we'll tie you on him, and you can't fall off. I am not brilliant today, but I've come a long way. I got on the bull, and they took twine from bales of hay, tied my hands around the bull's neck, my legs up under the bull, and they said, since you can't fall off, we're going to open the gate. And they did. The bull and I instantly bonded. It was a spiritual thing. We were of one mind and one accord. He didn't want me on his back. I didn't want to be on his back. But I didn't fall off. I wanted to fall off. My dad, my uncle, and another man chased that bull down, caught him, untied me, and got me off that bull. My wife and I were with the kids on vacation a few months back. All these rides in this park. All this wonderful stuff going on. And my wife says, honey, why don't you want to ride? I said, let me tell you a story. I told her this story. I said, honey, you and people like you will stand in line for 45 minutes to ride a ride, hoping you're going to get the ultimate ride. It's not at Six Flags. It's not at Disney. It was not at Opryland. The ultimate ride is on the back of a half-grown bull in a pasture in Alabama, and I've already had it, and I don't want another one. And I'd like to close tonight with my tribute to what can happen to anyone. I'd like to sing a new song. early spring in our little town. Not much to do, I was driving around. Saw some people near the hardware store. Never saw a crowd like that before. Standing around holding paper plates, and there stood Bubba with a smile on his face. My inquisitive nature got the best of me. I asked, what's going on? They said, you'll never believe. Bubba's opened up a sushi bar. He sells it out of the trunk of his car. Somebody called him an entrepreneur. I think it's something like a Baptist, but I'm not sure. Bubba's opened up a sushi bar. He's even selling bluegill caviar. Get it to go in a mason jar. Bubba's opened up a sushi bar. Before too long, he's doing good. Expanded clear out to Hollywood. Folks round here say he's arrived. He's got a spot on Rodeo Drive. Bubba's still Bubba to all of his friends, but now he sails from the trunk of his Mercedes-Benz. The rich folks love it, but I just can't see, 'cause it tastes just like raw fish to me. Bubba's opened up a sushi bar. He sells it out of the trunk of his car. Somebody called him an entrepreneur. I think it's something like a Baptist, but I'm not sure. Bubba's opened up a sushi bar. He's even selling bluegill caviar. Get it to go in a mason jar. Bubba's opened up a sushi bar. Fishing is down all across the state. It's 'cause Bubba's selling all the bait. Bubba's opened up a sushi bar. He sells it out of the trunk of his car. Somebody called him an entrepreneur. I think it's something like a Baptist, but I'm not sure. Bubba's opened up a sushi bar. He's even selling bluegill caviar. Get it to go in a mason jar. Bubba's opened up a sushi bar. Get it to go in a mason jar. Bubba's opened up a sushi bar.